they could take my company. Actually, they could have been taking everything from me. But what they cannot take is my credibility, my capacity for inspiring people, my authenticity, and the ideas that I develop whenever I'm riding a motorcycle, and also my sincerity.
As an introduction, we need to point out that the entire world of motorcycling is asking questions like, how about Herbert Schwarz now? What is he doing? What are his ideas? He is no longer part of Touratech, or is he? So we decided to use this podcast format in order to ask him personally. Touratech is considered as the leading brand in the market of motorcycle adventure travel equipment. There is hardly an event or trip which is not somehow sponsored by Touratech. So the brand Touratech is ever present. Directly connected to this brand is the personality of Herbert Schwarz, founder and CEO. Well, these days one has to say former CEO of this company. Therefore, it was really surprising to receive the information during summer 2017 that the company declared bankruptcy and went into administration. Even more shocking was the news of Herbert Schwarz leaving the team of Touratech. Since January 1st, 2018, he is no longer CEO, no longer working for Touratech. So, of course, we are excited to talk to him in order to find out what has happened. And, of course, what will happen next. Now I am connected to Herbert Schwarz. Hi, Herbert.
Hi and hello, Claudio.
How are you?
Well, let's say it's this way. Of course, I've had times in my life when I've been better than these days. But I have loads of plans and ideas for the future, and therefore my mood changes to the better.
Good, okay. We would like to talk to you about Touratech. All the things that happened in general, but also focus on the recent developments over the last few weeks and months. Let's start at the very beginning. In 1990, you, together with your buddy Jochen Schanz, developed a motorcycle computer. You both have been travelers with your bikes and used your experience to develop a first own product.
Yes, but maybe I have to tell the story in a different way. In 1990, I, together with a former working colleague named Rainer Frach, started to develop this computer. My part was the hardware, the electronic inside. Also, I was responsible for marketing, launch of the product, whereas Rainer was the one who wrote the software. Jochen Schanz and I actually met a couple of years later. He was a customer and we got closer on a trip through Eastern Africa. So Jochen joined Touratech in 1995.
Ah, okay. So traveling with the motorcycle was not only the beginning, actually it's been a part of the ethos the entire time. You not only have been developing products for motorcycles as well as for riders, you are permanently on the road as well.
For me personally, traveling with a motorcycle started in the early 80s. Next to my work as an electronic technician, it was the most inspiring thing, and it filled out my free time. When Touratech was founded, I had already been to Africa many times, had discovered North America and other continents. I'd explored and traveled a lot, and this was how I figured that there was a lot of accessories and equipment that didn't even exist, especially for when the conditions get harder.
Exactly. The entire idea of traveling by motorcycle on long trips was at that time a very small segment, despite some high-profile adventurers making big journeys.
When I started Touratech in 1990, this segment didn't exist at all. Of course, there were some people out there building aluminum cases on their own, for their own trips, but accessing these accessories through a shop in industrial quality was only made possible through Touratech.
Baggage systems and aluminum cases is one of the things that made Touratech well known throughout the market, and development of the Sega system for several types of motorbikes has always been the core product line for Touratech, luggage for traveling.
You are absolutely right. Actually, this started earlier in 1985 when I was bending and welding support racks for cases on my own and fixing them to my bike. on account I'd experienced failures in Africa with the original plastic cases that were available in the market at that time. Then I started to build cases from aluminum plates with rivets. As a next step, I wrote an assembly manual for the cases. This was actually the start for the manual. Went into the market. Many people asked if this wasn't something to set up on a professional basis. From there on, together with a partner from Switzerland, the first Ziga cases were developed.
In the beginning, you and your friend tinkered with these things together at home, but this was the starting point of the development of a small company, which made it possible to make money and work on the project full time.
Yes, even to develop it into a company with 400 employees, where passion was a major driver for many team members, a company of which I was proud of until the end.
Throughout this entire time, you continued to travel a lot. You made many trips, which allowed you to test prototypes, make movies, take loads of pictures, which can be admired in the Touratech brochures.
For me, Touratech is a means to an end in order to obtain the accessories which weren't available. Therefore, I was the best client. I'm always testing products in my trips, figuring out what needs to be improved. Of course, this allowed me to also indulge my second passion, photography, and so I took a lot of pictures for the brochures. Actually, all of them at that time. In 2002, we started to make movies during these trips. For me, these trips have always been the best balance of work and recreation. Riding from early morning until late at night, experiencing being close to the adventure. For me, it was important to have that recreation time of 4 to 5 weeks beside the day-to-day business at Touratech. To do something that our clients want to do, what they dream of, helping to inspire them, and as a result, remain authentic.
During one of those projects or travels in 2006, you met Ramona Eichhorn. You rode together from Canada to Mexico, and afterwards?
Yes, the original idea or plan was to undertake a backcountry trip in November and December of 2006, taking the smallest roads and trails, off-road from Canada to Mexico. At that time, I was searching for a travel companion for the movie and found one in Ramona. Contact was made through a friend, and I called her and asked her if she would be interested in riding with me on a BMW prototype. I think she considered this offer in less than 300 milliseconds and decided to be part of it. We became very close during this trip, married in consequence, and had 2 children quite quickly afterwards.
It's hard to separate the history of Touratech and your private life. Later on, we could see you together with Ramona in many pictures. You were traveling over and over, you were making movies about these trips, even integrating your children with the help of sidecars on the bikes.
For us, it has always been very important to show to other travelers with their bikes that adventure traveling is suitable for all, men, women, couples. And it's not just the idea of sending a lonesome rider through the desert. Rather, we wanted to paint out that it's suitable for being a mutual hobby. And here we have received a lot of positive feedback from many clients. This has been inspiring many clients and motivated a lot of women to be part of this hobby together with their partners, being part of it rather than letting one go alone.
In a segment where there are now plenty of manufacturers of cases and accessories, Touratech has always been a company connected to you personally. One knew it was not just models being placed on a bike in order to make a picture, it was actually you out there. Similarly, the stories printed in the brochures, reviewed in the movies, everything was very authentic. Company, brand, product, and both of you in person.
Actually, this is something we enjoyed a lot. We always wanted to be approachable, responsive. We wanted to set an example. We wanted an exchange and intense communication with our clients. We simply wanted to inspire, to do what we do and use this to help sell our products. Basically, Ramona and I have always been on site at fairs or events. people could talk to us and exchange with us. This was definitely a strength of Touratech and surely helped the company to grow stronger and faster than other companies or competitors.
In addition to this, you made a lot of other things. There was the Touratech brochure, which became thicker and thicker. Meanwhile, a worldwide distribution and sales system had been established. You can buy Touratech products throughout the world. I heard Thailand is one of your biggest markets. I assume you are strong in the United States. And there was the Touratech travel event, a big come-together of the scene, where thousands of travel and biking enthusiasts come together to celebrate and party together, to inform themselves, watch presentations, and exchange about the passion of traveling by bike. Actually, this is where we met too. Have all these been things you have been developing over the years, or was it based on a business plan? I can hardly imagine that any consultant told you what to do next in order to become more successful.
No, this was not the case. Of course, there was plenty of intention, plenty of interest in trying new things. To give you an example, the travel event results from an idea in the early 90s when I organized a meeting for friends that I met on my trips, about 300 people. At the time we called it Reisefiebertreffen, that means holiday fever meeting. And we were celebrating a revival in 2001 in the south of France when we called it Travel Event in order to make it more international. The number of participants grew until at last year's event where we had more than 20,000 participants. But the challenge was to still keep it authentic, and our goal was always to give the opportunity to all to talk to Ramona and to me, to all the team members, and feel a part of it. The aim was not to be distracted by loud music, rather come together, inspire each other, make new contacts, and to travel in consequence.
Actually, there has been no big exhibition or event where Touratech has not been sponsoring. This has always been attracting attention. It has become difficult to imagine the motorcycle travel scene without Touratech.
I remember when I was traveling, I didn't have any kind of sponsorship. I paid for this all from my salary, but through my love of photography, I've seen that there are many people out there who are very good in photography, who are interested in making cool projects, though I decided that they should be supported in a better way, better than I experienced. The idea was to support them, last if not least, in order to gain some travel stories for our catalog, simply to make everything a bit bigger. In this world, there should not exist only Ramona and Herbert, rather a lot of travelers counting on products from Touratech.
So far the story of the success of Touratech. Only then, last year, on August 10, 2017, the news hit us all like a hammer blow that Touratech had applied for insolvency. What happened?
Of course, there were many reasons for the insolvency. First of all, we had been building a new big plant in order to improve our situation in delivery, which was very bad at the time. In addition, we wanted to have more space for production, more space for logistics, and a nicer shop. Actually, this all went well. The new building was costing as calculated and ready in time. But then we suffered from a malfunction in the production facility, in the control of the new machinery and the new software. This altogether made it impossible to get the production working within the time frame we needed. Further on, software issues in the new logistics system led to the fact that we could not deliver as requested. Finally, you have to consider that due to the ongoing problems in the delivery part of the sales department, which was no longer my personal responsibility at this point, they were developing ideas for extending our product range. But our clients didn't want these products. It was a diversification into products that a typical client of Touratech didn't want. In consequence, we developed a considerable stock of expensive products which have not been made in-house, while on the other hand being unable to deliver our own products. So at a certain point we ran out of liquidity. In addition to this, and this is really very hard for me, we had conflicting opinions in the Touratech board, which consisting of 3 members, and therefore it was impossible to find agreements. We had an executive board of 3 members, each of which had a veto right. So there was no final decision maker instructing what to do in consequence. Of course, this led to coalitions and among the board, which pulled down the company.
Meanwhile, Touratech became a stock corporation, and you have been one of the 3 members of the executive board.
Yes, exactly. And I made crucial mistakes in my life. First of all, at the time when Rainer Frach left the company and Jochen Schanz joined the team, I offered him 50% of the shares, while 49% would have been enough. This would have meant we'd have a single decision maker. After Martin Wickert joined, we were 3, each with a final say. In consequence, you didn't have a referendum, as there was no one really being responsible for his decision. These were 2 big mistakes I have to take responsibility for.
So you had been building a new plant. Probably you had to borrow a lot of money for this, while you didn't generate significant income because of the production issues. So basically, although the company was and is a big player, still you drifted into a situation being unable to pay your invoices, which led to the application of insolvency. Is this correct?
That is absolutely correct. And when we realized the situation in February, we went into talks with the banks. They were no longer willing to consider this topic any further. We were offered several options, like asking for money from our bigger clients in order to give us ongoing support, but we were simply running out of time. As a matter of fact, you only have 21 days of time in case you are unable to pay your debts and solve the problems. Otherwise, you need to file for insolvency. We didn't make it within these 21 days, and in consequence, this would have led to our personal liability.
Does this mean you would have been held liable with your personal assets for Touratech?
Yes, at the least, the delay in filing insolvency is considered as a criminal act, and therefore you can be held liable with your personal assets. Still, I'm involved with my private assets, as I signed 3 bonds in total for Touratech in order to rescue the company and continue it going. Of course, the banks are now running after this money.
So is it correct to assume that the story is not over for you yet? It might be that you still have to pay money for Touratech?
This will definitely be the case. For the moment, the amount is still undefined, but I have no chance to get out. So it's not the case that Mr. Herbert Schwarz took loads of money out of the company in order to create a nice and new existence. I have to see now how and where I can gather people with interest, investors, in order to launch a restart. Probably it will be a company led through me, or maybe I will just giving the ideas, and I will no longer be financially invested.
Another date here in my notes is December 7, 2017. This was the first time you published on Facebook having a new email address. So no longer at touratech.de, instead a normal one from, I don't remember, Yahoo or Webmail. So right at this point, it was made clear that you were leaving Touratech. Actually, this was a big shock. Okay, insolvency, but Hein Gericke, Polo, and many others had to experience this too, but it was never a big thing. The fact that you are leaving is hard to imagine. No one can imagine Herbert Schwarz without Touratech and vice versa. Can this work?
Well, we will see what the future will bring. But for the moment, the investor coming from the automotive supply sector has decided to keep the other 2 members of the board, which both didn't want any further cooperation together with me. Therefore, the insolvency administrator had to terminate my contract. Happig, the company that has taken over Touratech will probably focus on the business with motorcycle manufacturers rather than the consumer-based market, and as a result will probably not hold the brand as high. So all the inspiration, authenticity, all that I've been building with my name and the name of my wife was not important for the new investor.
So, since the end of last year, you are no longer CEO of Touratech. How does that feel? I can imagine it must be very difficult seeing your baby tumbling, your company that you have been building over the last 30 years, and you cannot rescue it by yourself. It's been rescued from outside, and you are fired from your own company.
This is really an extremely bitter story. I actually hadn't come to terms with this until today. Of course, there was also plenty of human disappointment for me. In the moment when the administrator said, "We don't need you anymore, please hand over your keys and telephone, etc., and please do not show up at the company's Christmas party." This was really hard. With a lot of the team members at Touratech, I still have a very good contact. I also believe that many of them feel quite sorry, as I was not unpopular throughout the company, but at some point I just had to accept it. Accept that Touratech will continue without me, that my baby, that I've been raising for at least 28 years, and including the years before, actually more than 30 years, has been taken from me.
Considering this information, it seems even more surprising that you are handling the issue so well. Was it rather an escape to the better? I can imagine that other people being thrown out of their own company would rather step back, disappear for a couple of years, let's say, make themselves invisible.
As a matter of fact, they could take my company. They could take everything from me. But what they cannot take is my credibility, my capacity for inspiring people, my authenticity, all the ideas that I developed whenever I'm riding a motorcycle, and also my sincerity. And for me, it's important to use this power to start something new. Start there where I have my strengths.
Of course, I'm very curious to find out more here. What can you reveal at this time? What new things will come? So far you have only offered small hints on the internet. You have a new website, but so far you're only saying that there will be something new, but not what it will be. In which direction are you planning?
Actually, I have to ask you all for your patience. I cannot reveal anything at this point. It will be for sure something in the area of motorcycle adventure. It will be more honest, be more focused on the adventure part. Plenty of ideas will be realized in a smarter way. Quality might rise a little bit. And for sure, it will be about accessories for motorcycles, but probably not only.
Okay, so this means you will undertake a restart at the point where you ended. Accessories for bikes and adventure travel.
That is the plan. Accessories for bikes and adventure travels. Maybe also realizing some new ideas in the segment of travel. Being on the road with clients, inspire more, make movies, being present in the market with these ideas.
Wow, sounds like big plans. Is it the case that you have your head free to start the next adventure already?
Yes, I think so. The state of shock doesn't last long for me. I have experienced so many hopeless and desperate situations on my adventure trips, and we always manage to find a way out. In Bolivia, we had a breakdown due to a completely burned cable harness on an 1150 GS, and we didn't give up. We thought over the night long what to do. We checked what kind of cables we had as leftovers, what kind of connectors, and we managed to make a new cable harness within 2 days until the bike was running again, and we could continue our trip. So you can't be shocked, of course. You can be shocked, of course. You can lean back for a moment, but one should use this time to stand up again, create new ideas, and keep going. Otherwise, you will starve to death somewhere.
Probably you're not going to starve to death, as it sounds like you have loads of energy and will use this to start new projects. In March, the bike show in Dortmund will take place. Will you be able to give us an update then?
No, we are not that fast. We are working on the team. We are still looking out for investors, but everything looks good so far. I will attend the shows, look around, have talks, but the launch of our product or the new idea is probably going to happen nearer June or July.
Okay, half a year only sounds like a quite challenging time frame. It seems like in 2018 we are going to hear a lot from Herbert Schwarz.
Here I'm very confident. This will happen, and we will use the website to publish virtual small mosaic stones, allowing our friends and clients a better understanding of what is all about and when it's going to happen.
Okay, so last question. What are your next steps, as much as you can reveal them? Now it is 4:30. What is Herbert Schwarz doing next?
I'm still working on buying a new car for my daughter in order to help her get a good price. We have a very good contact, and of course, this is a part of my responsibility as a father.
Thanks, Herbert, for your frank and open answers. And keep going.